So, hello, Gene. It's so nice to see you after, well, now it's 2 years.
It's been a few years since we see each other in Vienna. Yes, it's
Yeah,
very
you
nice to
you
see
you
you.
were here in Vienna. You had a master class, and then you had your concert in Reigen here in
Yes,
Vienna,
we had the Reigen
and
concert.
it
The
was
mass.
a hip hop, and it was a diverse musical style. It was really interesting.
Yeah. It was my guitar trio. But then we met each other again last or whatever, right before the pandemic. I wasn't, or was I playing? I forgot, at that little club, really cool club in Vienna
Yes,
called
yes, we met. It was a Scheidenplatz near Danube, and it was December 2019.
19. Yeah, it was that small club I was playing with Stephanie Egger, sitting in with her, and it was a very nice jazz, cool little fun club. But yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
I remember when you had that back then, your master class. I was actually amazed and impressed how many compositions you wrote, and not only in a contemporary classical style, but also jazz and, if I may say, funky style, and especially hip hop.
yeah.
So since
Well,
then, I'm very interested, of course, in your music and what are you composing now, and what has changed since then.
sure. Well, I mean, first, just to say, for me, like, I don't really label my compositions as contemporary classical or jazz or hip hop. For me, they're all music, and I know, to describe, you could say, well, it has elements of hip hop, and this has elements of orchestral chamber music, and this has more of a swing thing, and that's fine, because those are terms that we know. But for me, all music is just kind of a one, especially my own music is just one big thing of sound, and it's all made from the same thing, which is sound, and it's just how you organize them. So I actually don't think in that terms, and people, of course, talk like this, and it's fine. So I use the word eclectic, which is kind of a weird word, but just means that I'm influenced by all music, and my own music, you shouldn't be able to, and I think people can't pinpoint saying that he does this. So you could say I write music, but what kind of music? It's my music. Uh, so
Yes, you have your own style, but
yeah,
I mean,
well,
I
that's
was
the whole thing.
impressed because
Yeah.
they were so different styles, and there I saw the parallel in my music, and
Hmm.
also I will mention later Milica as well. But it's very interesting, and I really enjoyed your music.
Thank you very much. I mean, and I always say, the 21st century composer is a person who is versed in the world of music, because we're living in a time where it's very easy. You don't have to be Bartok to go and record folk music in some towns, 10, 100 miles away, whatever, all that type of, that's what they did. There's no way to hear this music. Now you could really be on your computer press and be inspired by it and know all the music that happened in this world, process it, get inspired by it, and create something new. And I don't, there's no reason to only write one type of music, unless you want to. That's fine too. But for me, the 21st century composer is somebody who's versed in the world of music, not just in one type of music. So that's reflective in my compositions. Um,
I remember back then. Sorry, I remember back then. You showed us. If I'm wrong, please correct me. It was like 600 compositions,
well,
something like that.
I'm up to
I think
800.
now you are around 900 or more,
I think I'm 820 or something like that. And back,
because
this was like maybe two
it
or
was
3 years
like, oh my
ago.
God, it's brilliant.
Yeah, maybe it was about six something, 700. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
average, I guess. I don't know, maybe 40, 50. It depends a year. So from small pieces to very large pieces. But during the pandemic, the funny thing is, I have been very, very productive, just because once it all hit, and a lot of my tours got canceled and a lot of other projects. So I was just here, and I wasn't producing. My time is taken up by producing concerts here in New York with Compose Concordance and other organizations. So I was, how am I? I'm going to keep busy, and I decided that basically this remote recording um, is the thing to go. So one of the first things I did is I posted on Facebook something called, I said, I'm going to write something called Pandemic Dances, which are duets for myself on electric guitar, and anybody who responds to this Facebook post and who wants to do a duet with me, and 32 people responded, from instruments ranging from other guitars to organ to shout voice to a bunch of saxophones, percussions. I mean, you name it. It's like 32 instruments, very varied, you know. And I wrote, every time somebody would say they want to do it, I wrote a duet. I recorded my parts, sent it to them with a click. They recorded their parts, and to date, so this has been now a year. Like, yeah, it's been a year. And I also asked them that if they want, they didn't have to, but they could also write a companion piece. So it'd be my pandemic dance number, whatever, and their piece. And some of them did. So to date, we recorded. I didn't. I think 29. I think there's 3 pandemic dances left that people haven't done yet. But I recorded all the 30, most of the 32, plus about 16, 17 of other composers. So, and it's I've been using this thing called Bandcamp, which people know. It's more of like a one site where you could just go, and it's cool because you could grow the album. So you start the album, and then you keep adding, and you know, people could go back and hear the whole album and see the new track. So I've been doing a lot of that type of stuff.
This is a great thing because people can also follow each other on Bandcamp and also buy music.
Right. Well, people, you know, I mean, they're saying Bandcamp is the best because you keep the most money, but the truth is, it's still free to hear, and some people do. I do have make some money, people buy, but it's not like a money making whatever. You know, on Spotify, I get 1 million listens to something, you get a certain amount of money, and here, like a couple of people buy, you get the same money. But basically, everybody could listen for free. So the only people really buying are very supportive. It's not like, oh, I want to hear this track, and I have to buy it. If you just want to hear it, you can just hear it. So I get a lot of people who support me. Actually, the radio guy who's been playing my music in Savannah, and of course he could just ask me for the track because he keeps playing it, but he always just goes on Bandcamp and purchases it, which is very nice. He doesn't have to at all. I would definitely give it to him for free. He's playing it on the radio, you know. So that's a kind of a fun thing. But I mean, that was one project, and I had. I wish I knew the number, but a lot of projects similar to that, including a whole song set, all recorded remotely. My friend wrote these. It's called the Stray at Home Songs Poems, and I wrote a whole 6-song cycle and recorded a lot with Stephanie Egger from Vienna, who you met. She recorded a bunch, but again, none of us recorded together. Everything's remote. Drummer from Berlin, Stefan from Vienna. Another thing, singer from Turkey, bassist from Innsbruck, whatever, you know, just me here. So I did a lot of those, and I'm keep doing this even now that I
when you mentioned Berlin, I think it's very important that you mention the music that you did for film.
Well, I work, and I'm actually in the middle right now of season 4. So Babylon Berlin, which is this big TV show. I'm the orchestrator, so it's they use sometimes I have some music in it, but I'm not the composer. So I work with the composers Johnny Klimek and the director Tom Tickwer, who's also the composer. So so I do all the orchestrations and have some music in it, and I even did a little project, which was actually New Year's Eve 2020. Was a great New Year's Eve. Yeah, I was in Nuremberg, and we did this project of mine called Berlin Inspired, which is some of my music that happens in this TV show, or you know, and some of my other music inspired by Berlin, and it was great. And I'm like, 2020 is going to be the greatest year ever, and then bad things happen. But yeah.
So maybe can you mention? I mean, now we live in a really strange time, and I think that this time affected a lot us composers, musicians, a lot, as we can't perform live. That's the main problem currently. So how are you arranging now your concerts? I mean,
well, to tell you the truth, so for me, when this thing first we were really on lockdown, so for a few months I didn't have any concerts. The biggest thing that affected me for a whole year is I haven't traveled or toured, and usually I have concerts outside of New York. But by like July or maybe even June of 2020, when it hit, I started salon concerts. My friend Mark Kastabi has a nice big townhouse, and we decided like get together a small group of people who are been tested or are safe or have been sick, so a social bubble and we get together, we put on concerts and we'll stream them online. But I didn't want to do, because a lot of people are doing just like the streaming where you're just sitting alone, to your computer and nobody's. I can't really perform to nobody. So I'm like, if I get a group of like 10 people and we perform for each other, plus we have the online thing where you have 1,000 people could watch it, whatever, that's great. So I started doing those, and we kept doing them. I don't know how many we've produced since like June of last year, we've produced, I don't know, at least like 20 concerts. I have one tonight. So tonight I was doing it's the last of a 6 concert series. I did one every week from another friend of mine. He has a smaller apartment on Wall Street, overlooking Wall Street, and I'm doing just duets. So, and it's me plus another person. With again under 10 people audience in his apartment. It's nice because you could looks like a lot of people because it's a small place, and online thing. But we did a bunch of those. Plus, we're doing concerts in venues that are open. So we have a couple of, like next week we have a concert in a, it's called Michiko Studios. It's a rehearsal studio that has a space that we use for concerts, like nice stage and chairs, and they let us bring in 20 people there. So we have about 10 performers plus 10, and I'm selling tickets, like $30 tickets, more expensive. So we can make, I mean, it's not, but whatever. So we sell some tickets, and we have 10 performers, and we've been doing a bunch in there. And then the best concert we had is one venue, when in New York they were allowing restaurants and venues, or at least restaurants, to have some music. And this is a big venue, so we had a 50-person. They allowed us to have 50 people. So we had it packed with 50 people, but it wasn't. It was still coronavirus. Everybody was, but it was like a real concert. It felt like old times. It was really great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good thing that things that are going better. At least you can have a concert and a
Yes.
small audience. Yes.
Yeah, we don't mind the small. I mean, the small audience is fine, and we have the online things. But I just can't play to this computer screen.
Yes.
I'm playing to people in the room and get their energy and reactions.
I understand.
And that's, just in computer, somebody sitting there in their underwear, maybe browsing on Amazon while maybe listening to my guy. That's not for me. I mean, that's fine, but I can't perform to that. So I do need an audience. So we've been having fun doing these concerts.
So would you maybe say some names of your how to say the most important maybe collaborators in your music so far?
You mean during the pandemic or in general?
I mean, in general, first, of course, in general, but of course now it's a little bit different time. But I mean, your like main collaborators through your career.
Well, I mean, so I met my friend Christian Yarvi. He's a conductor, and we met in school, in Manhattan School of Music, and we started this group called Lepson Ensemble, and we still tour. Well, not this year, but and we were Grammy nominated, and we have all these albums, and it's a group we started. We were in school. I wanted to practice my composing. He wanted to practice his conducting, and we just got a group of people together, but it kept going. So, and he plays a lot of my music with orchestras and, around the world, so that's really great. And then I also had a hip-hop band. I mean, I still have it, Sound Liberation. That was with my friend David Gotay, who's a cellist and a rapper. He passed away from cancer a few years back, but the band's still going, and I'm actually releasing an album soon, using some of the old songs that we did that he's on, that we never released, plus some new stuff. So it's kind of like a new album with Dave, though he's been dead since 2015, I think he died. Yeah. So those are some collaborators. One person who was, and this brings us to COVID, unfortunately, but he founded Concordance. His name is Joseph Pearson, and he was in a home because he wasn't doing good in other areas, but he died in April of from COVID.
Oh my
how all the homes where they were ravaged by, so he died early on. But he was he was older than me. He was in the 70s, of course, and but he was a believer in my music, and he would perform at Compose Concordance, and sooner or later I took over Compose Concordance as director, and he was instrumental in that. So it was another collaborator whose music I still perform, and we're going to have, sooner or later, when we could get a nice big hall, a big memorial to him, of course.
Very sorry to hear.
Yeah.
So, well, now it's, I think, a good time to continue with the subjects of the most important, maybe part, if I may say, in your career, Composer Concordance Association Ensemble.
Right.
So maybe for people who haven't heard it, maybe to say who are the founders, how everything started, and what is your role currently.
So as I said, my friend Joseph Pearson, who passed away, him and his friend Patrick Hardish, they started it back in 1983. when I was just a little baby. I wasn't a baby, but I was pretty young. uh, and then I met them in the 90s when I was in school of music, or maybe even a little later, through these salon thingies. I forgot. Anyway, and we got together, and then I became kind of an associate director, and then finally I'm the director for the past, I don't know, I have to figure out, like 15 years, whatever, with my friend Dan Cooper, who's the co-director. But the idea of it, Compose Concordance, was, I mean, it's changed what the idea was, but basically it's producing concerts and presenting compose. That's a simple, excuse me, that's a simple idea. But since I took it over, we're producing, now, you know, they used to produce like 3 or 4 concerts a year. I produce about 30, from big concerts to small concerts. It's constantly a concert, all, you know, from September through June. Usually we don't do the summer stuff. There's at least 2 concerts every month, or at least a concert, but definitely 2, 3.
Yeah.
And we premiere, perform over 100 composers, with concerts that are very thematic. So just to, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do a cheat sheet because I can't. So for instance, we have a festival every year that has a theme. So this year's festival, well, last year's, that was kind of got a little delayed, but we're still doing it. Was called Complit. It's about composition and literature, and we have concerts that are called "Now is the Winter of Our Discotheque," and "Fortune Favors the Rave." You know, this type of fun, kind of interesting titles, and the composers should write to those titles. You know, so every concert is a theme. You know, our next concert is about, it's called Centennial Vibes. So it's all about, the vibraphone has turned 100 years old this year, so it's all music for vibraphone. Only, you know, vibraphone. So it's a whole concert about the vibraphone. So it's this type of themes, and many concerts and interesting art. You know, collaboration with motion, with dance. We have this whole series called motion, like drummer, like clarinet motion. We just had brass motion, so an ensemble made up of clarinets and dancers, brass and dancers. You know, and we did like piano. We did like 5 or 6 of those. Then other ones where we focus on a particular culture. So all about Russia, all about India, all about Purim, whatever. And composers have to write to that. So, you know, we're interested in not just like, okay, let's have a concert and everybody has a random new music piece, and the only thing they have in common is that they're a brand new music piece. But that for me is not so. I was bored of those concerts. I want a concert that's like a story, you know, like
Yeah.
and it could still be a new music piece. You could still write whatever, you know, the way. But you know, but also, I mean, just to say that there's a lot of new music composers, and I tend to not tend. I mean, I 100% only play those who I like. You know, well, I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but sometimes these organizations, they kind of play who's in the, oh, this guy's kind of getting famous, or so, or you know, they're talking about, you know, this type of stuff. But if I don't like your music, or like, you know, we have to play women compose or minority compose, and yes, I'm always playing women and minority compose, but not because they're women and minority, because I really like their music. Like
Yes.
if you're a woman composer and I don't like your music, I really don't care.
Yes.
You're not gonna get played. I don't want you in my concert. You know,
Yes,
that's
now
all. It's
when we
very
are
simple.
speaking about women, in my dissertation there, I'm writing about
Hmm.
a few female women composers, and they are both in composers concordance, either
Yep.
collaborators or they have their own role. That's also my question. So it's of course Milica Paranosic
Yeah,
and
Melissa was, she was one of our, and,
Svetlana Bukvic.
so, and both of them were, well, Melissa at one point was a co-director, so the same as me and Dan. So it was 3 directors for a while, but then she left, and now we have 4 associate directors, and Svetlana was once, and Millie has been the whole time. So we have actually 2 women, always at least 2 women, and not by, I don't know, I don't think it was. It's just like we like these people. So Deborah Kay and Melissa are now as 2 of the 4 associate directors. So I mean, and great, you know, what it's. I understand. I think it's correct. I think people should push people who don't, you know, only play white males or whatever. They should do, like, there's women composed, there's composed of other nationalities,
Yes,
minority composed, and you
yes,
should really expand your thing. But the funny, it kind of doesn't apply to us because we've always been doing that. I mean, it applies to us, of course. No, we shouldn't stop. We're gonna keep doing it, but not for those reasons. We're doing it because for the reasons of I'm looking for other voices and different music that I like from various type of people. That's all it is. It's
First
simple.
time when I heard for a composer's Concordance, it was
Mm.
12 years ago.
Oh, really?
And
Well.
that was thanks to Milica Poranosic. I
Mm-hmm.
met her 2009 in Belgrade. She
Oh,
also
okay.
had her master class. I was student
Mm-hmm.
back then. And I remember she was introducing the organization to us. And now, I mean, it's really amazing thing that uh, we are coming to the point where at some point, I, if I'm not wrong, in June, the ensemble is going to perform also my music. So therefore, I'm very grateful
Yes.
for this opportunity.
We have a piece of yours on. It's a June 13th. The Howland Cultural Center in Beacon, New York, and we want to do this piece of yours for voice and piano, right?
Yes,
But we're not sure. You were supposed to come and play,
yes,
but if you're not, we're
depends of the
yeah.
situation. So we
But
will
if you're
just
not,
see.
we're still gonna do it. We'll just get a pianist to play your piano part, and it's okay. You'll be played. It'd be great if you're here, but maybe next year you come and we do something.
I remember when I heard for Composers Concordance, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds so brilliant because Milica gave me one DVD that
Oh,
it's for a collaborator, Carmen Cordas, and
mm-hmm.
it's amazing work, collaborator. And
Yeah, I know. I've worked
then
with her.
I found out that Composers Concordance has its own label.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's my next question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we. So, uh, you know, you could. We've been releasing things different ways. Sometimes just you don't really need a label these days. But like 10 years ago, Naxos, which is a big organization, came to us and offered us a distribution deal. So we're like, yeah, and they were doing it, and they're still doing it. But now we got rid of this. The physical CD, so it's all online. But it has a little Naxos thing, so it's good. We released over 60 CDs in 10 years, and this label keeps going, and it's just a great place to. If you have something, and the label is simple. It's not really a money maker, as you know. There's no money involved, but it's basically there for people who are part of Composing Concordance, whose music I like, and who are interested in releasing something with us. They come to us, and I say, yeah, I say yes immediately. People, you don't have to even show me your music. If I like you, I know. I mean, you don't have to show me what you want to release. You could be releasing you singing in the shower. That's what you want to release. That's you. So I trust you, and this type of thing. So we've been releasing a lot of our, friends or friends of friends and people who we like and who we trust on their musical understanding, aesthetics, and so that's what the label's there for, and it's great. We like
In
it.
my doctorate research, I came to the point where I did the social network analysis and realized that composer co-condensed ensemble is somehow the main point where composers met. For
Oh yeah,
example, Milica Paranosis, Svetlana Bukic. So, as
great.
I am very interested in this subject, do those composers collaborate between around this ensemble?
Well, we yes, I mean both Millie and Svetlana have worked with us a lot. We've played their music, or have here's a theme, write something, and then they, for instance, I think Svetlana wrote a piece for a string quartet, a known string quartet that we presented with percussion. And I know after that they started working together on something else. They had a CD, so she wouldn't have met him. I mean, maybe she would, but whatever. But I know she met him through me, and we went through us. And this type of stuff is a constant. I see people meeting at a concert, and like we're about to have a concert called, also part of the Complit festival. It's called Oh Haiku, Oh My Haiku. So it's all about short poetry. And my friend Dave Taylor, the bass trombone player, the most famous bass trombone player, and he's so he was gonna write a piece, but he's like, well, I want a Japanese instrument. I'm like, well, there's this guy who's playing. His name is Thomas Piercy in the concert, and he's playing Hichiriki. He's like, oh, do you think he'll play with me? I'm like, well, here's his email. And now they're collaborating. They didn't know each other before. They're both known musicians in their own places, but they didn't, you know, and they just crossed, and now they're have a piece together. So great. I love that type of stuff.
So now, let's hope that things are going to be better and that we
Yeah.
can return to normality and the concert. So what's the plan for Composers Concordance in the near future, and of course, especially in your music too?
Well, we're finishing up the season. So usually our seasons are planned in advance and we know everything that's going to happen for a year. But this season we're kind of going 2 months at a time. We're like planning right now for May and June, which is very late for me, but we are right now. So I'm just setting up concerts, and a lot of the concerts, most of them are not all of them. No, some of them are from last year that didn't happen. Are reschedules, so we have to get them in somehow. Plus a couple of new ones. So we're getting on that, and now we're starting to think about next season. And we decided on the theme for the festival is going to be about science. It's all science, science.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a lot of science-like things. And we're going to start booking the concerts, but again, it's still a little difficult to reach out to venues and get dates and all that because people still don't know what's happening in September. So that work's going to be mostly probably done in the summer. But for me, I have in the summer I have a lot of things planned in Europe, and they just need to let me in. So I have two big concerts in Nuremberg. One is this project that I've been working on for this whole year. It's called A Deeper Purple, which is the music of Deep Purple, but my very strange variations on it. And then another concert about the 20s, kind of music that was happening in the 20s, but again, my take on this music and some, jazz music, I'm going to take a Schoenberg piano piece and make it into a hip-hop piece that was in the 20s.
Wow, that's
Schoenberg.
interesting.
The Schoenberg, not the hip-hop. So this type of stuff. So both are in Nuremberg, and then hopefully I go back. Last year was the first year I missed this festival in Austria called Outreach in Schwaz, in Tyrol area. I've been going to that festival for 16, 17 years every summer, and I spent 3 weeks there and do a lot of music and teaching. It's great. Last year was the first year we missed it, so I'm hoping it's back. Though my friend did run the festival, but only with local musicians and to an audience, so they did play a piece of mine last year, and I watched it online, but I wasn't there, and it was so weird for me not to be there, because for like 17 years, I'm go up to the Tyrol mountains and hang out there, and I
Well,
didn't
that
this year.
sounds really interesting. What you have in your future? Yeah.
Yeah, those are the plans, and we hope it happens, especially the Europe stuff, and working now on the Babylon Berlin season 4, orchestrating some music, arranging, and another very big film which I can't talk about still yet. So the film's been announced. I'll tell you privately, but I can't
Okay.
talk about it on camera. So I'm
Yeah.
orchestrating that one, and that one also. We were doing that film, and it was 2020 January, and I went to Abbey Roads, and we recorded in Abbey Road studio. I'm like, 2020 is gonna be the greatest year ever. Everything's going so great.
Yeah, I had concert in January
This,
2020 also with the plan.
I mean, I had on New Year's Eve. I had that concert in Nuremberg, and the day we premiered this big DJ concerto of mine also in Nuremberg. Like that was January 1, 2020. Then I went to Abbey Roads, and and then I had all these other great concerts, and then March hit, and January, February, beginning of March of 2020 were great.
Yeah, as I said, it hits us very, very hard, and I really hope we can all come back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
normal. And yeah,
Yeah,
well,
like that.
thank you so much, Jean, for your time, and I
Absolutely.
really hope that I can arrange and be there in June and to
Great.
play live with your ensemble.
Be
In any
wonderful.
case, I also hope that you will come in Vienna again
I'm
and
planning
show
to.
some master classes
Yeah, be
and
great, of
teaching
course.
would be really great because last time it was really amazing
Thank you.
as I
Thank you so much.
remember. And thank you very much again. This means a lot for my dissertation that I'm writing. And yeah, I wish you all success in your music
Thank you, Marina.
and
Great.
all the best with Composers Confidence Association and
Thank you. Let's be in
production.
touch, and thank you for the
Yeah,
interview. It's always fun to talk to
yeah. Thank you
you.
so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.